I'd like to visit with you today a little bit about football injuries. We are now starting another football season, and it's kind of important to talk about that. Football, as we all know, is a very traumatic sport, certainly fun to watch and certainly something I enjoy, but it can be extremely damaging to the body. The primary thing that happens during football, whether practice or playing a game, is soft tissue injuries. Now, soft tissue is every tissue in our body except our bones. Our bones is hard tissue and everything else is soft tissues. Now, we've all had a bruise. If we bump something or something's bumped us and we develop a bruise, that's called a contusion, and that will go away typically in 1 to 3 days. Now, if that does not go away in 1 to 3 days and there's pain on motion and function, often it's a mechanical problem that was caused as a result of that trauma, and a soft tissue problem goes along with it. So if you can imagine playing football, every play that you're in is like being involved in a car accident because there's trauma to every hit, every tackle, every aspect of the game. You know, you wear padding to try to protection for the most part. It does very well. However, injuries are very common because of the soft tissue trauma and the stress and strain that often take place on the mechanical aspect of the spine itself. So if you have an injury, whether you're on the football field or whether you're working in the yard, you can create soft tissue damage and have an underlying mechanical problem. Again, if you should have pain or discomfort, that soreness should go away in a day or two because it's probably just soft tissue that was strained. However, if it does not and it goes into the third day, probably an underlying involvement of the mechanics. And what I mean by that is, if we pretend that this is your spine and these little balls are the vertebra, as you bend and move, you desire that those bones bend and move like they're supposed to. However, when we develop a mechanical problem, joints become locked or fixated. They don't move as freely as they should. That's called hypomobility. It just means they're stuck. They're not out of place. They just don't move correctly. And my job as a chiropractor is to identify those areas and correct that through something we call an adjustment. But by correcting that, it allows it to restore to normal function, and of course, that mechanical problem is taken care of, and then the soft tissue irritation that developed as a result of the mechanical problem heals. So although you may be working in a yard or playing football, the body is injured in the same way, either soft tissue damage or mechanical problems or both, and chiropractic can always help.